I'm Elle Mejia, a landlord, investor, and retail leasing professional. I've completed high-level transactions for retailers in markets across 5 continents. On my way to building a multi-million-dollar real estate business, I'm curating advice from women who are killing it across the globe and sharing those conversations with you. You can absolutely run your business, run your household, and run your life without running yourself into the ground. Welcome to This Girl Sells Real Estate. Hello and welcome. You're tuned into the This Girl Sells Real Estate podcast. And this is a podcast where we feature discussions with phenomenal women in real estate. And I'm really excited. I got to stop my work day and grab a quick break to talk to this doll. She is a realtor out of Central Arkansas. And just watching her progression on her social media accounts and across different platforms that she's on, it's really interesting to see how different it is starting out in real estate today and what options are available to you that weren't necessarily available to a lot of realtors before. So just to give you a little bit of insight into who Lia Washington is as a realtor, she does operate out of Little Rock, Arkansas. She's accepting new clients and she's navigating the greatest game on earth. So today we're going to be discussing what it's like for her starting out in the real estate game, what personal skill sets it is that she's bringing to the table, and really what she's looking for from a community of women in real estate to bolster her efforts and her desired success within the industry. So please help me in welcoming Lia Washington. How are you, Lia?
I'm doing well. How are you, Elle?
I'm well. I'm so glad I get to spend my break with you today. It kind of worked out because I was recording a couple of interviews last week with some women and our timing and our communication got thrown off. So we had to reschedule. So you're my only interview that I'm doing this week. And it's kind of a nice break to the workflow to be like, oh, wait, no, I have to kind of stop what I'm doing now and have a conversation with a girl that's like me, that's doing the same thing.
Yes.
How are you?
We do. I'm doing well. I'm on a break as well. I had a very busy April. And so now so now with May, I'm trying to catch up on everything that I slacked on in April. So.
Well, you're operating out of Arkansas, and you were telling me just before we started recording that you've actually been considered an essential service this whole time. So even with the COVID-19 lockdown, you've been working.
Yes, I've been working, trying to maintain and save my deals. So we've been doing a lot of work here.
And what brokerage are you with in Arkansas?
So I work for my family. I work for Unlimited Properties Realty.
Oh, nice. So this is a family business for you guys.
Yes.
I was going to ask you, how did you get into real estate? What's your story and how did you kind of end up where you are right now? But I guess that's a little part of the answer.
Yes. So I got into real estate. I was actually I'm not from Arkansas. I'm from Chicago, the suburbs of Chicago. Okay. And I was planning on going back home. And my aunt, she was like, hey, you should do real estate. I think you'd be really good at it. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I worked in sales at AT&T and I was like, I'm not sure if that's something that I'd want to do. So she was like, no, go take the class, take the test. It took me a few tries to pass the test, but I passed the test last June. And then I started in real estate. So I work with my aunt and I work with 2 of my aunts and my cousin. And then I have another aunt here that's a builder. So it's like a family business.
So you've got women that are around you in the development sphere as well.
Yes.
So, I mean, it sounds like, because a lot of the time I ask the question, where do you pull from in terms of support from women in your community to be able to help you navigate what you're doing? You're brand new in the game, but it already sounds like you've got such a strong support system built right in. How has that helped you in getting started? How did that help you in making the decision? And how do you think that you'll tap into that moving forward?
So having that support system was very big because 2 months after I passed my license, I got into a very bad car accident. It was a hit and run. And having the support system, my family, my aunts, my mom around to say hey, you need to pull yourself back up and keep going. A week after I passed my test, I got a commercial listing, which I sold last week. It took me a while to do it, but I was able to do so by having, my family around. I can go and ask my Aunt Holly, any question I need. I always have someone there to be able to say, this is how you do this. And it's something we're always thinking about.
So you pass your real estate license. your board exam, and then you get into a really bad car accident, and then you get your first commercial listing, and then you sell your first commercial listing in the middle of a global pandemic.
Yes, it's been crazy.
It's probably
crazy.
it's a crazy time for everyone, but it sounds like you're kind of making the best of this crazy time. And it sounds like you've got a really great attitude, because I was going to ask you about that car accident. On top of it being just a devastating accident, the added kind of insult to injury of having it be a hit and run. How did you navigate that? Just mentally, emotionally, you're just starting out and you've got all of the stresses of being a newbie in the game. And then you've got all of these other kind of big life stresses that come along at the same time as well.
It was definitely very hard. I had to pull from everywhere. I had to constantly get reassurance and help. And I, at one point, wanted to give up. I didn't want to do real estate anymore. It's an arduous task to work with people, and it's an emotional roller coaster. And if you're not in the best of spirits, it's hard for you to help bring someone else up. And so, luckily, I had my family around, and they were able to say, like, "Hey, like, life goes on. Like, you survived the accident, and you have to keep going. Like, you can't sit here and be depressed about it. You have to keep going." And I'm so fortunate that they were there to pull me back up when I was not wanting to continue.
No, I'm not sure if I would have read about any of this on your social media pages, because looking through your Instagram, I mean, your Instagram, and this is what caught my attention at first, is just that you seem like such a polished professional right out the gate. And that's difficult to accomplish when you're just starting out in the game. In terms of your branding and in terms of your marketing, what lessons did you kind of pick up along the way? Is it something that you worked on cultivating, or is it just something that you were already good at that you're bringing to the table as well as one of your skill sets?
I think I really didn't have any experience with it. I love Instagram. I love social media. So I'm constantly looking at different things, analyzing different posts. I love Kiana Watson in Atlanta. I think that she's very good at her branding. She's always doing things that are above and cutting edge. And so I'm always watching YouTube videos on how to do things. Or if I see, like I said, I worked for AT&T. And so we constantly were changing our branding and marketing packages in the store. So that's another reason why I'm trying so hard to make sure that everything is polished, because I worked for a Fortune 500 company, and it was constantly having to stay abreast with the times and being able to appeal to people.
Well, I think there's also something to be said about, and I realize that even just with myself and women in the industry who are just 10 years older than me, that there's a lot that we bring to this table, just being the generation that has been on Facebook and Instagram and all of these different platforms that can be leveraged for business, certainly, but we started off using them just hanging out with our friends. And so things that come very naturally to us that we're able to bring into the industry from a business perspective, I think a lot of people don't realize the value that's in that and the currency that's in that. So certainly your experience coming from that Fortune 500 company, in addition to the fact that you're just part of this generation where this is what we do for fun, then documenting our business is not that much different from documenting our lives. That being said, though, how personal do you intend to get with your clients and with your followers on social media? You mentioned Kiana Watson as one of your role models, and I know for one, I love all of her posts. I follow her as well. I love all of her posts about her business, but I especially love the insight that she gives us into the support that she gets in her relationship and the support that she gets from her circle. Is that something that you intend to share with your followers as well?
Yes, I do. At first, like I told you before, I'm a part of my family's brokerage. And so I didn't want to say anything, but I look just like my family. So I was like, I feel like that's an added bonus. I'm surrounded by all these strong women. And so it's easy for you to tell that we're related. And then even with me sharing about my commercial sale, that took me a really long time. Commercial real estate doesn't move as fast as residential sometimes. So I shared with Instagram and said, like, hey, like, this was really hard, but I'm so happy that I didn't give up.
Did you love commercial? So I'm a commercial real estate baby. I'm in the commercial sphere myself, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
find a lot of women that love
Mm-hmm.
operating in that sphere of real estate. Did you love it? And will you hang out with me here?
Ooh, I'm on a podcast.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So last week I was interviewing Gogo Bethke, who's another
Yeah.
amazing powerhouse realtor on social media. And in the middle of
Yeah.
it, all you hear is 5-year-old voice from upstairs. Are you downstairs? Because I'm hiding in the basement. So that's just real life.
Yeah, it's real life. It's definitely real life. But I totally forgot what the question was. Can you ask me one more time?
I think I might have forgotten what the question was too. That's fine. I have so many more questions for you. What should we be looking out for you, like in your business? Oh no, that I remembered what the question was. Commercial real
Okay.
estate. I don't find a
Yes.
lot of women in commercial real estate. Like I don't find a lot of women who are drawn to it the way that I'm drawn to it. Did you catch the bug with that sale? Even as long as the transactions seem to take, it's also more money when you do it.
It is more money when you do it, and that's the rewarding part about it. So it took me almost a year, but it was rewarding at the end. So it's something that I definitely want to pursue. Like you said, there aren't a lot of women that are in commercial real estate, especially women of color. And so that is something that I do want to pursue. Luckily, with me starting out and before my accident, I went to a lot of the real estate events that were in Little Rock. So I was constantly, immersing myself, trying to immerse myself in that world and meeting people. And that's how I came across the property.
I think it's so important to engage in that networking, not even just to meet people, but just to be around people that are speaking the language that you want to speak. Like I know I literally still do that today. Like even during this lockdown, I'm part of this organization, it's Toronto Crew, but they have chapters all over. So I'm part of the Toronto chapter of this commercial real estate women, and we've just got like a cooking class that we're doing next week where we're all going to be cooking together on Zoom just as a way to keep connected with the community. And I think it's such an important way to move your business forward in the long term. It might not mean transactions tomorrow or referrals tomorrow, but you're building those connections, and you already have such a strong foundation of having women in your family who have been forming those connections for years that you can leverage as well. So that'll be really amazing for you. I hope you stick with commercial real estate. I think you would do phenomenally well in it.
Thank you. You as well.
But what else are you thinking of doing in your career?
I know for sure next year I'm going to sit for the broker's test. That's something I want to do. I've also looked at potentially.
You get to sit for it the year after.
No,
the
2 years.
The rules are so different depending on where you are. I think you have to be 2 years. I think here it's 2 or 3 years as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm coming up on my year this year. So next year.
Time we see you're going to be broker, like Lia Washington, broker.
Yes, that's what I'm looking forward to.
And what else?
I definitely think broker. I want to get into investment properties. Like I said, I have an aunt that's a builder, and she's constantly doing rehabs on properties, building. Like I want to learn every aspect of it. So definitely, I know for sure that I'll start working on investment property, rental property. I'm already assisting someone with like a duplex rehab. So just immersing myself in as many aspects of real estate as I can.
I love it. What are you loving the most so far about being in real estate? Specifically about being a woman in real estate?
I feel like it definitely helps my confidence as a woman. I feel like every day I'm constantly learning something new. There's not a day where I don't go through and learn something new. I like I said, I worked for AT&T and I worked there for so long, and I just felt like I had gotten good at my job. And what I like about real estate is that it's constantly challenging me to step up and be greater every day. And that's one thing that I really love about it.
That's amazing. So what would be your advice to women who are starting out? Women that are even ahead of where you are right now, they're just studying for their exams, or they're waiting to take their exams, or they're thinking about getting into real estate. What advice would you give them?
I would say to stick with it. It's definitely not easy. Like I said in my post, we make it look easy. The ones that are doing it right now, we make it look easy, but it's not. But if you stick with it and you constantly challenge yourself, I think that you'll do very well.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for spending my lunch hour with me today.
Oh,
with
thank you for having
all
me.
the technical difficulties we had at first too. It was really, really refreshing talking to you and seeing the perspective of someone who's just coming into the game right now. So I definitely appreciate you sharing that perspective with us today. For everyone listening, definitely be sure to check out Lia on across her social media platforms. And certainly if you're in the Arkansas area, she is always accepting new clients. So be sure to give her a call. Thank you so much for joining us today on the This Girl Sells Real Estate podcast. As always, we ask you to subscribe on whatever platform it is that you're listening to us on. It does make a big difference for us in the long run if you just take one moment to subscribe on whatever platform it is that you're listening to. Thank you to all of the women who continue to inspire us in what I believe is the greatest game on earth. And we will see you next week with another conversation with a phenomenal woman in real estate. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys.